What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This time I'm checking out all the brand new Street Tier 2 cars in the Crew Motorfest after season 4, and I'm telling you right now, the Street 2 meta is about to explode with the addition of these cars. All right, let's go. All right, real quick before we get into it, if you're looking for any of my tunes, you can head to militiagamingco.com, click on the Motorfest Pro Settings link, and it'll take you to the Tunes app. It has my tunes, as some Vacor's tunes, and Rhinos, and Goliaths, and Simj. It's just a bunch of tunes in there, and of course, all of mine are loaded up as well. So anyways, that's where you're going to get your tunes, and that's where I get the screenshots that I put in these videos. And speaking of tunes, I have tuned every single Street Tier 2 car that has come out with the Season 4 update. Now, there are a few other Street Tier 2 cars that we just don't have access to. If I'm looking at the list, there are 5 cars that are available as of right now in Season 4. Some of you will not have them, and that's because they're Summit rewards, but they're collection import only. So, for example, the Nissan 350Z Roadster Ultimate Edition is a collection import only. That's because it was a Summit reward just a little while ago, and you can now import that. So if you earn that in the Crew 2, in the Summit, you can import that, you can drive it right away. We're gonna be talking about that car today as well. Now, in addition to that car, we've got the Audi RS6 Avant and the RS6 Avant Yanamizi Edition. Now, I don't know if I'm saying that right. I apologize to whoever that is. It's tough. I'm terrible at pronouncing names. It is what it is at this point. Now, in addition to those two Audis, we've got the Jaguar XE-SV Project 8 and the Maserati Levante Trofeo. Now, no one expects the Levante Trofeo to be good at all, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's not the worst of these 5 cars. It's actually pretty good. I'm not going to lie. Anyways, if you want the Jaguar or the Maserati, you can go to the Crew 2 and buy those and import them into Motorfest. As of right now, they're not available in the Motorfest shop. You'll be able to see the Jaguar on August 7th, and you'll be able to see the Maserati on September 4th. So if you want them early, you got to go to the Crew 2 to get them. That being said, these are the 5 cars that are available to us right now. Now, the rest of the cars that we're not talking about in this video are actually only available via Summit rewards, meaning they're the rewards for the next 3 or 4 months of summits. For example, the Chevy Impala American Custom Edition, that's a summit reward for this month in July. The Ring Brothers Dodge Charger is also a summit reward. That one will be for August. And then the Porsche Taycan Turbo S Thunder Edition is the summit reward for September, so we won't be getting those. Now, we do have the Ford Mustang Dark Horse, which was not in the Crew 2. It's not a Summit exclusive reward. You're going to be able to purchase that on July 31st this month, later on at the end of the month. So anyways, that's it. We got the 5 cars. Let's start talking about these cars. The worst of the bunch by a mile is the 350Z. I hate to say it, and honestly, it's probably the best 350Z that we have in Street 2. It's just not good. Now, as far as test times go, it ran a very respectable 216.819. It's not too bad on Kyusha Spirit, but then it ran a 323.23, which again is just sort of average. Actually, maybe slightly above average. No, it's right in the middle. It's ranked number 36 on my list, so it's fine, but it's not the best. It's just slow. It doesn't have any power behind it, and it doesn't do anything with the NOS. So just don't worry. If you didn't get that in the Crew 2 Summit, just don't worry, because you're not missing out on anything. Let's move on to the exciting parts. So I want to talk about the Levante Trofeo first, because this car absolutely surprised me. It accelerates insanely well. It does very good with NOS power. It's got very good top speed, and it handles all right. I think that's the only negative with the car, is that it just understeers a little bit, and that's really detrimental to it in terms of grand races, and I just can't recommend it for that reason. However, it runs really good test times. It's the only SUV to run a 213.267 on Kyusha Spirit. I mean, a 13 in general is ridiculous. That's actually in line with the GTR Haru Edition, and then it ran a 321 on Groundworks, which is again equal to the Haru Edition. So the car is fast. It just doesn't handle well. The Haru Edition handles way better than it. Now, with gutters, okay, so it can be used, but in terms of like turns that just don't have gutters, highway turns where you have to go full speed through them, it just struggles a little bit. So I just can't recommend it for that reason. But that being said, dude, it actually lands at like number 11 on my list. I cannot believe how good that Maserati is. It's absolutely usable, but I don't think I'm going to be saying its name in any type of meta video coming out. anytime soon. The 3 cars left for sure, I can say, are going to be in the meta conversation. I don't know if they're going to take over the #1 spot or not. It feels like they're right there. Anyways, let's get into it. So the Jaguar XE SV Project 8 ran a 212.087. There's only a handful of cars that can run a 12 on Kyusha Spirit. It's unbelievable. And then it ran a 319.362 on Groundworks. Again, unbelievable. If you look at this compared to the top cars, you're looking at 245 in terms of its average time. That's basically the same as all of the top like 2, 3, 4, and 5. They all have a 245. The only car that's under 245 for the average times of those 2 races is the 911-993 with a 244.9, and that's really close. You can tell how bunched up this top 5 is in terms of test times. Now, obviously, performance in a grand race is going to be different. I can't stress that enough. If you're going to take what I'm saying on these leaderboards as gospel for the grand races, you're absolutely wrong. It really depends on a lot of different factors as to why it's good or isn't good for the grand races. So this is going to take me some time to play with these cars and determine which one is actually better or which ones are actually better. I don't know that anything right now is super OP over the 993, but I definitely think these cars are going to start to push out some of the cars that are in my meta class. They're going to start pushing cars down, and these are going to start replacing those. So that being said, I've got the RS6 Avant at a 210.9 on Kyusha Spirit. That is absolutely ridiculous. That's with no NOS affixes, by the way. I do all of my testing with no pure and no extra pump. It's just straight up max level parts. Unbelievable to run a 10.9 on Kyusha, and then it ran a 19.6. If it would have been just a little bit faster on Groundworks, it absolutely could have taken that #1 spot in terms of test times. So I'm just really happy to see that. And then the special edition RS6 actually runs a very similar time, a 211.3 on Kyusha with a 319.7 on Groundworks. Again, unbelievable times. Now here's a look at these cars compared to each other only. You've got the RS6 with the best time on Kyusha, Groundworks, and average, and then it's got the most power, the best top speed, which actually they're all kind of the same. They're all 224, the best acceleration, and you know, a very competitive braking and lateral G. The RS6 Avant Yanamizi is just behind it by a little bit. It's got the same power, the same speed, a little bit slower acceleration, but a little bit better lateral G. The cars feel almost identical. I personally like running the non-custom edition of this RS6. I really like to be able to customize it the way I want it to look, and it feels like it drives a little bit better. It feels like it just doesn't understeer as much, which is kind of weird because the special edition actually has a better lateral G stat. Anyways, below that, you've got the Jaguar. It's got the same top speed, which like I said, is most of the Street 2 cars, not anything to think about. It does have the best braking at 18.2, which means you can actually brake slightly later with this car than the others in this graphic. And then it has a lateral G stat of 1.26, which is actually respectable. It's a very, very good car, as you can see, ranked number 5. Anyways, these are the 5 cars that you have access to right now in season 4. Obviously you have to play the crew 2 for a couple of them, but the others you can buy here in Motorfest, particularly that RS6 Avant. It is insanely good. In my opinion though, it just has a slight understeer problem and doesn't feel that good to drive. So my prediction for the best car in the grand race is going to be the Jaguar. Well, we'll see how this shakes out. I do need to do a lot more testing in the grand races to actually give you a good picture. And then of course my next grand race meta video is going to include probably those 3. Anyways, this is it. This is a full picture of the Street 2 stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions or comments about these cars or concerns, or you can tell me your experience in the comments down below, I'd love to hear it. I want to see if you guys are sort of on the same track as I am with this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.